usually each and every Wednesday at about a little bit after 1 o'clock p.m. This is our midday, midweek, weekly checkup. It's our opportunity to pause, check in, enjoy a short reading, and then close out on a positive note. So I thank everybody for being so patient, with everything. To stay connected with me, make sure to add me on Facebook at the page Author Andrew Snorton. You may also add me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at AuthorASnorton. If you have any questions, things along those lines, you may email me at AuthorASnorton@gmail.com. And on the web, if you go to the business page, asnortonccs.com, and click on the menu for Yes, He's an Author, you can get the information there. And embedded are links to Barnes & Noble as well as Amazon for any book purchases, as well as audiobook purchases. But if you click on any of the embedded links, it'll take you to the author page, more of the landing page, with a few more details. So I want to thank everybody for their patience, their support. We've been doing this since April of last year. So we're coming up on a year of doing this weekly live chat series. And I thank everybody for their support. Different people have popped in as guests. I want to thank you all for joining. And what we always try to start off with is, a moment or two to acknowledge those people that aren't doing so great. And we know life happens and we have some moments, but some moments last a little bit longer than others. In recent days, obviously the example of domestic terrorism that took place in Cherokee County that impacted the Asian community. We pray and trust for the family, friends, and loved ones of those who were victims of, such a travesty and such debauchery. We pray and trust that smarter heads will prevail in regards to the next steps that need to happen, and hopefully it's a reminder for people that some of our greatest threats are actually internal. So hopefully this is a wake-up call regarding any examples of, domestic terrorism that we see, things of that nature, that we still need to speak up, speak out, and advocate for things to turn about and go about in the right way. Other people I know have experienced other types of losses. Some people have lost their jobs, where they live, family members, things along those lines. I know one person near and dear to me, extending, words of encouragement and prayer for her, as one of her friends just passed over the weekend after celebrating her birthday. And then this upcoming week is a reminder of one of her good friends who passed a year ago. So definitely prayers, condolences, and encouragement go out. And earlier this morning received notification that a longtime colleague of mine by the name of Tammy Smith transitioned earlier today. So prayers, condolences, and encouragement to her family, friends, loved ones, members of her sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And I know she was a longtime member of the Tau Pi Omega chapter in Stone Mountain, Georgia. So our prayers, condolences, and words of encouragement go out to everybody. And anybody known and unknown who's had a family member, friend, loved one transition, we lift you up in prayer. We want to keep you encouraged. And anyone that's just going through, we all go through something each and every day. That is true. But sometimes it's a little bit longer term. And we pray and trust that anyone that's had really just a longer term battle or longer term struggle with something, it's okay to have your moments. You just don't want to be stuck in those moments. As I've always said, and I'll continue to say it, any type of formal or informal constructive help that you need, please go get it. Even if that first step is just talking or venting or releasing to a trusted family member, friend, or loved one. If that's what you have to do to get things started, please do so. By the same token, don't be afraid to seek out professional help, professional counseling, and things in between. Do more exercise, fitness, watch your diet, pick up a new hobby, safely travel somewhere where you can decompress and things along those lines. So we just want to send words of encouragement out to those known and unknown that are really going through something. For people who are experiencing a number of positives, job, family, additions to the family, a new place to live, a new vehicle. that habit you're trying to kick, you're making progress, those changes, that you're making fitness wise and whatever. We want to keep you motivated and encouraged because we want you to keep going. We want you to keep moving forward, keep progressing, keep building on the growth you're seeing, professionally, community wise, within your families, within yourself. But let's not forget those who are going through something, because once upon a time that was us, and there might be a time not too far down the road where we are going through struggle or adversity. So we want to remember that and keep it all in perspective. Today's reading is going to come from Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleeps. This is for the IG folks. This is for the Facebook folks. Something happened with our streaming, so we're obviously recording this and we'll upload it to the book. And I want to pick a selection from chapter 18, which is more of a self-reflection piece. So even though it's of the title, Do I Love What I See in the Mirror? Do I love what I see in the mirror? And even though it's mainly coming through the lens of, let's say, individual or personal relationships, there's a closing segment that I want to read that may apply, especially to a number of people who I referenced at the very beginning that might be going through a struggle. So here's the segment that I want to read, break down, and then we'll make sure to keep it moving. I'll get there when I have my continued walk and talk with God. Of him, why do you think it's so odd? Is it because I threw in some colorful language on some previous verses? He knows my heart despite my excellence with curses. And he'll ultimately help me see things much clearer in order to love what I see in the mirror. Now that segment kind of concludes that actual that poem or that piece, and it is looking through the lens of how do you view yourself. And there's times that people might have a little bit of doubt, a little bit of hesitancy. Sometimes you listen to the outside noises or even the inside noises that say you shouldn't try to improve, you shouldn't try to grow, all those types of things. And so while it's focusing on individual, I want to reread one part of it, which I think kind of helps speaks to some of the things that we mentioned earlier. And he'll ultimately help me see things much clearer. Seeing things much clearer sometimes is hard to do. It doesn't make sense when you think about, the events that took place yesterday in Cherokee County. It's hard to see any clarity in that. It's hard to see clarity, in a breakup. It's hard. It's hard to see clarity when, that job that you've put in lets you go. It's hard to see clarity in a number of different things because we're used to, hey, just go from point A, point B, keep it going. But we know when we live life, there's going to be moments where it just does not make any sense. It is not all that clear. And from our point of view or our perspective, while there's a number of times our perspective is relatively accurate, and then, you get feedback from other people, there's some times that just go beyond us and really don't make a lot of sense. And, it's hard at times when you, like I said, are just trying to make sense out of yesterday's events. Why did it have to happen? Is it a reminder of the work that we still have to do for people to just recognize the humanity in other people? Is it a reminder regarding, the angst and anger that some people are carrying in an unhealthy and destructive manner? Is this where it's a reminder we can't rest on our laurels or what we've accomplished? And while we can celebrate what we've accomplished, we know we have to keep going. Now, do I have all the answers? No. But are those things to think about and consider when the smoke clears? Possibly. It's hard sometimes. It really is. And for people to say that as you get older, it gets easier. There are some things that get easier, but there's still some things that are going to be perplexing. Still some things that are going to be disjointed or fragmented or don't make sense. Or how can someone speak of, let's say, equality and humanity when their actions are quite the opposite? How is it that some people will have higher expectations of others but then lower of themselves? Why will some people demand more, and then when people meet that demand, oh, we're going to change the rules? There's a number of things that clearly do not add up and do not make sense. And I think we have every right to be, a little bit, perplexed. By the same token, we understand, through spiritual lenses, there's some things that are really beyond us. And it's almost like the only things that are definitive are your start date and your stop date. Those are definitive. And yeah, it can be confusing, and it can be perplexing. It can be hurtful, and some of it does not make sense or is not logical or rational or what have you. And I think that's when you have to take moments to pause, to slow things down, ask for the calm that you can, ask for the peace that you can, and hopefully there's some type of lesson that's learned, some type of lesson that evolves from it. Maybe part of the lesson is better embracing people's humanity. Maybe part of the lesson is to be more proactive in regards to speaking up and speaking out against injustices. Maybe it is to value, to even value life even more, because there's some people walking around with, no sense of hope or encouragement or things along those lines. Um, there's a number of things. So the hope is ultimately there's some type of understanding or realization why certain things happen, or why things are the way they are, or why part of the success piece is going through hella adversity at times. Those are just some things to think about. But that was a selection I chose from the first book, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton. Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton. So as we get ready to wind down, just a couple of quick reminders. For those of you based in Jacksonville, Florida, or have colleagues in Jacksonville, Florida, you can connect with me March 22nd, 7 p.m. for the Jacks Diamond Classic. That's going to be the HBCU baseball classic between Edward Waters College and Savannah State College. So I'll be doing an on-site in-stadium book signing to help support that event. And that's with the book on baseball, Nothing Minor. March 24th, in addition to doing this, hopefully, as fluidly as we normally do, the full broadcast of the Conversation Corner, that'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, March 24th, Stats Network, live TV channel. It'll be broadcast on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, your social media platforms for both the network and channel, as well as statsnetwork.net on their website, as well as their smartphone app. It will take on a baseball theme, as I'm excited to have Shelley Flood, the daughter of Curt Flood, who, for people who are baseball scholars, know that Curt Flood, as I'd like to call, is really the father of free agency as we know it in Major League Baseball. Essentially, his sacrifice of his career and more is what led to Major League Baseball changing their entire free agency system. So we'll talk about him and his long overdue need for him to be in the Hall of Fame. We'll have the team from Blackballing in. They've done extensive research on the Negro Leagues and other things. They're doing some work with the Lone Star Diamond Classic that I'll speak about in a moment, so you want to catch them. And I'll have Prentice Hill, who is the director of BCSG 360. Their group is the one doing the Jacksonville Diamond Classic on March 22nd. And then March 26th through 28th, they'll be in Frisco, Texas, one of the suburbs of Dallas, for the Lone Star Diamond Classic. So that HBCU Classic in Frisco will feature Southern University, Grambling State University, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and Prairie View A&M. And I'm real excited that I'll be doing an in-stadium book signing there on March 27th. And I'll actually be covering the game on March 28th. So those are some of the main things that are going on. But in closing, I just want to say, number one, thank you to everybody who takes time to tune in when we're live, or if we're not live, they click share, inbox, and all that type of thing. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully you're finding that this is a little bit of a breather and a moment to decompress for a little bit. For fellow authors, writers, creatives, things of that nature, keep building on the good work you're doing. It's needed. Your voices are needed because really our voices help constructively amplify others. So make sure to keep doing what you do. And really, in the midst of it all, while there are definite positive signs that maybe things are getting a little bit calmer with the pandemic, we are still in one. So please wear your mask. Please social distance as best as you possible. Have your hand sanitizer. Wash your hands. Even though the weather is getting better in general, and we all want to get out and enjoy stuff, and we have every right to do that. We have to do so responsibly because almost more than 500,000 people have passed due to this virus, due to this pandemic. And if we're not careful, there could be some spikes, and we don't want you getting caught in that. So please, not only take those precautions, watch your diet, any constructive supplements that you can take that will help you build up your immune system, build up your energy. Do your research and make sure to look into those. And in closing, I'll just say whether slow or swift movement is movement, sometimes things go real slow. Sometimes they go real quick. And the last thing is just never underestimate the gifts that you truly possess. Don't underestimate the gifts and talents you possess. Other people might, but don't you be like those other people. So, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. Continue to take good care. Best wishes, blessings, encouragement. I look forward to seeing you all real soon. Okay, take care. Make sure to join us each Wednesday at about 1:06 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join me on Facebook at the page Author Andrew Snorton, as well as Instagram at AuthorASnorton. And make sure to check out AuthorASnorton on YouTube, as we will post the highlights and more. Take good care.